Hello, Shiver Seekers. Are you ready to follow us into the unknown? I'm Cynthia.
And I'm Stephanie. You found the dark oak.
Today, I'm going to tell you a compilation of stories about psychic detectives.
Ooh, perfect for Oaktoberfest.
That's right.
Welcome to Dark Oak, the Dark Oak, the Oaktoberfest Dark Oak. Oh, dang. Let me start again. Welcome to the Dark Oak, the podcast.
Oh, wow. How much cold medicine you got in there,
Okay,
Stephanie?
I told you it's going to be rough.
I messed
All
it up
right.
last week, but it was because I was hearing clicking. What's your excuse?
No, we're just going to chalk it up to medicine head. All right.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm really excited about Dark Oak, like Oaktoberfest. And
Yes.
I mean, this is our teaser YouTube, folks. So this is coming. I've got my finger marking the page, and I'm super excited about this. Coming soon. Okay. Welcome to the Dark Oak, the mystery podcast with purpose. Each month, through our charity, the Branch of Hope Foundation, we give a portion of earnings from our Patreon and sponsors to a nonprofit organization related to the first episode of the month. To find out how you can be part of the movement, head over to our Instagram account, The Dark Oak Podcast, our website, thedarkoak.com, or stay to the end of this episode and we'll give you all the details. It's a organization this month that's really near and dear to me, and I think you're going to love it.
That's right. That's right. Now, as Stephanie alluded, this is This is the first week of Oaktober, Oaktoberfest. Here at the Dark Oak, we call it Oaktober.
Welcome to spooky season. We're here.
That's right. It really snuck up on me. So it's hard to believe we are here. But yes, this is our first episode in the month of October 2025, the beginning of Oaktoberfest. We wait all year for this month. Do we not?
It's true. Well, and I will tell anyone who's watching us unedited on YouTube, I am heralding in fall with a nice head cold. So I may have to, go do a little coughing here on the side. So I apologize, but unedited, you get what you paid for, folks. That's where we are.
There are two fun ways to consume our content here at the Dark Oak. If you are listening
like that, for example. I felt like Elise Meyer. You're a fan of hers, right? Elise Meyer. She does like the funniest videos where she is like, she'll ask a question. She's like, I'd love to tell you. And then she tells you this like amazingly funny story. She's like the most brilliant comedian, even though she's not even like an actual comedian. She's just so perfect. But she does these funny things where she'll want to show you a picture in the background and she like dramatically like falls to the side of the screen so you can see the background. And I just felt like I did that when I coughed. But now you're looking at me like you don't know who Elise Myers is. And so now I feel like that may have not fallen correctly. But anybody else who knows Elise Myers, you know the scene. So
I may know her. I don't recognize her name, so I'm going to Google her after this.
So she's the one, she's a little younger than us. She's got really like great curly dark hair. And sometimes it gets like wild. And I just love it. But she's the one that tells these really funny stories, and she kind of pokes fun at herself for being like super awkward. And I relate so much to that. Like awkward experiences, like when you first meet someone. So anyway, we should binge watch her videos sometimes. But anyway, I totally am stealing your thunder. So please proceed with our Oaktoberfest announcements.
Oh, you could never steal my thunder, Stephanie.
I feel like I am right now.
No, but there are two really awesome ways that you can consume our content. The first is audio only. And if you are listening to us on audio, then you are listening to a cleaned up version where the ums and the coughs and the little interruptions have been edited out. It's still Stephanie and I having our normal organic conversations, but all those little blooper type phrases and things have been edited out. However, if you like the behind the scenes stuff, if you like the real life, if you want to see Stephanie or myself nearly choked to death at least once per episode, tune in to our unedited YouTube video. That's where you can see what actually happens, completely raw footage from the moment we hit record to the moment we hit stop recording. And yeah, that's all I need to say about that.
Last week, I think we got at least 20 minutes of cat interruptions. So you got that too.
At least.
Yeah, at least. Cynthia texted me last week because I do the majority of the editing. And so she gets to kind of see the polished version at the end. And Cynthia, what did you say? You said one of my new favorite hobbies is to compare the edited to the unedited to see what they look like.
It's so fun to me. There was one part where, it's almost like two different shows, actually. Now, because this is new and novel, I truly have been listening to the audio as I've always done. You want to review it. Stephanie and I, we are the team. So she does the editing, and then I, of course, listen to it to make sure, we didn't miss anything. So I've always listened. But now, because we're doing this unedited video, I'm watching that too, so I can learn, so I can get better. And it's truly like two different shows. I have thought to myself, if I
It's the same content, but the way it comes across sounds so different, even though it's just a little bit of editing here and there.
It's literally the same content, but if I start choking or coughing right now, that's going to be edited out of the audio version and it's going to show up on the YouTube version. But it does, you're right. It plays like different shows. And so I think it's kind of cool that people can watch one or listen to one or the other or both. It's kind of fun. I think there's something for everybody. So, but yeah, I will say Stephanie always impressed me with the editing before, but now when there's literally like evidence of the before and the after, I'm like, wow, she's good. She's good.
I'm going to tell you, last week I sounded pretty terrible in the recording and I chalked it up to, my change in lifestyle. We've added on two very precious little girls to our family. And I just thought I was just burning the candle at both ends. It turned out the next morning I woke up with a massive head cold, which I'm still nursing now. So that's what we have, but I forgot my point. I was talking about oh, yes, because as I was editing last week's, I decided to take again some cold medicine and literally woke up hovering like over the keyboard. Like I had like fallen asleep and was like zombie editing. So the fact that you are complimenting my sleepwalk editing, I'm very pleased because I was waiting to get the text of like, Stephanie, did you actually listen to this audio? But it was the opposite. So I was pleasantly surprised.
It was flawless. It was flawless. And on top of doing writing, researching, bringing her own episodes, and then all of our editing, what else you doing, Stephanie? You're doing something else for Oaktoberfest. What you making?
Oh, well, our giveaway is a homemade by me Edgar Allan Poe inspired throw quilt. That's right. And I'm super excited. I am going to be working on it this weekend. For sure. I'm putting it out in the universe. I'm working on it this weekend. I'm probably going to have kids draped all over me when I'm doing it. They better not get their fingers close to the needle. Okay, just kidding. I'm not actually going to do that. But I'm just saying, edit Edgar Allan Poe quilt this weekend. It's going to be happening and it's going to be amazing. So you got to get in the giveaway. And I'm going to cough again. So I'm going to let you tell them how to get in the giveaway, Cynthia.
all you have to do to be entered into this giveaway where you can win a handmade Edgar Allan Poe inspired quilt made by Stephanie is join our Patreon. So if you're a $5 tier member, you get one entry. If you're a $10 tier member, you get 2 entries. And if you are a Patreon member and you refer a friend who then joins our Patreon, you and your friend get an additional entry. So you have the possibility of getting up to 3 entries. And on or around October 31st, I'm not even sure what day of the week that is, but on or around the end of October, we'll be doing a drawing, probably Facebook Live, but I don't know, somehow. And one of our Patreon members is going to be the recipient of this beautiful handmade quilt. So very,
I'm
very
very excited.
exciting. Yes, yes. So I think that's all of our announcements. Now, if you've been around for the last 2 Oktobers, you know that once Oaktoberfest begins, we still bring you our regular true crime mystery themed episode. But in the beginning of each episode, we tack on a campfire story. Stephanie is the queen of the campfire stories. We were literally just talking about one she told us back in 6th grade that gave me nightmares for years. I still shiver at the thought of Thump Thump Slide, which Stephanie introduced to us in 6th grade. And she may even bring that one week as a campfire story this month. But tell us more about the campfire stories, Steph.
Yeah, that campfire story was a special request, so I put it on the list. So campfire stories, they're very quick. They're less than 5 minutes. Last 2 years, I've just kind of looked them up. I found special ones that I had told to my kids or had been told to me over the years, and I've clearly always had a knack for telling these short jump scares or just scary stories. And apparently for Cynthia, staying in a dark cabin is the appropriate time to really freak her out.
With
So
no
I've
adults,
logged that
remember?
away.
There were no adults. It was like a bunch of 6th grade girls in the middle of the
What's funny,
Florida
I don't
Keys.
even remember. I don't even remember telling that story,
Oh,
but
man.
it is cemented in Cynthia's mind.
It was just a really fun night. 6th grade girls on on location, no adults in a dark cabin in the middle of the Keys,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Stephanie telling ghost stories. I mean,
I mean, there were indications I would become what I am. Is all I'm gonna say. And a lot of it is attributed to this book. Does this look familiar to anyone? So this cover may not. Check out that hand.
ugh,
That's right. Check it out.
ugh.
Yeah. So this book itself, the cover may not draw you in, but here's the deal. It's all 3 books in one. Look at it. Look at it. I mean, chef's kiss. I went ahead and I said, you know what? I'm going back to my roots. I'm going back to the beginning. This is what got me so interested in campfire stories. So campfire stories is the Oaktober edition to involve your family, to involve your friends, to just have fun in spooky season. So we tell you a little story, less than 5-minute story, and then you can go and tell the story to your kids or to your friends. They're not too scary. They're just scary enough is the idea. And it's just made to be fun. So if campfire stories aren't for you, go ahead and skip ahead. But again, this year I'm reading literally from this book. So I hope it's not only fun, but I hope it brings back some memories too. So today I'm going to be reading High Beams. And just because I feel like the illustrations in this book are what really bring it home for me, I'm even going to show you the photo for all you YouTube listeners. I'm still trying to figure out how my camera works. So, all right, that was not, don't judge, don't come for me. I'm working on it.
Up.
There we go. Can you see her?
Oh, I see a face. Yes. Okay. All
I
right.
probably need to figure out how to move my mic a little bit. No, that's just silly. All right, here we go. High beams. The girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. She lived on a farm about 8 miles away and used the car to drive back and forth. She had driven into town that night to see a basketball game. Now she was on her way home. As she pulled away from the school, she noticed a red pickup truck following her out of the parking lot. A few minutes later, the truck was still behind her. I guess we're going in the same direction, she thought. She began to watch the truck in her mirror. When she changed her speed, the driver of the truck changed his speed. When she passed a car, so did he. Then he turned on his high beams, flooding her car with light. He left them on for almost a minute. He probably just wants to pass me, she thought. But she was starting to become uneasy. Usually she drove home over a back road. Not too many people went that way. But when she turned onto that road, so did the truck. I've got to get away from him, she thought, and she began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off. Then he turned them on again and off again. She drove even faster, but the truck driver stayed right behind her. Then he turned his high beams on again. Once more, her car was ablaze with light. What is he doing? She wondered. What does he want? Then he turned them off again. But a minute later, he had them back on again, and he left them on. At last, she pulled into her driveway, and the truck pulled in right beside her. She jumped from the car and ran to the house. Call the police, she screamed at her father. Out of the driveway, she could see the driver of the truck. He had a gun in his hand. When the police arrived, they started to arrest him, but he pointed to the girl's car. You don't want me, he said. You want him. Crouched behind the driver's seat, there was a man with a knife. As the driver of the truck explained, the man slipped into the girl's car just before she left the school. He saw it happen, but there was no way he could stop it. He thought about getting the police, but he was afraid to leave her, so he followed her car. Each time the man in the back seat reached up to overpower her, the driver of the truck turned on his high beams. Then the man dropped down, afraid that someone might see him.
Ooh, the man in the back of your car. Is that not just like the scariest thing? Sometimes when I'm driving at night, I'll check the back. Of course, you always check the back before you get in. But then
Sure.
sometimes, even when I know there's nobody in the backseat of my car, I'll still sometimes check the back and continue to check the back. Normally, like when I'm on a dark road, maybe backwoods, there's a lot of woodsy roads around us. Like, does that happen to you or just me?
Oh no. I mean the intrusive thoughts come in that someone's back there. I just prefer to live in denial.
Okay.
Like,
If you don't look, then you don't see
uh-huh.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Also, I mean if I do see them, I I mean I'm probably going to wreck the car. I don't know. I feel like I'm safer if I just don't look. Somehow that feels safer to me, which is not at all true, I don't think. But
No.
to me, that feels safer.
So that's the equivalent of like
So,
hiding under the covers when you hear something in the night. You hide under the covers. You're not a go and explore. Check it out, girl.
girl, okay, first of all, in horror movies, you never want to be the go check it out
Oh, I
girl.
know. That's
Nothing
why.
ever goes well for her. Mm-mm. Don't be her. Second of all, you've watched scary movies with me. This is me.
I,
Like, the whole time. Normally with a pillow. Like, and then I go to look at you, and you are also doing this.
yes, during a movie, of course I'm like this. But in real life, if I hear something in my house, oh, I'm checking it out.
So you won't look in a movie, but you're gonna go check in real life?
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, I'm totally a check it out girl.
Mm,
Totally. In fact, I wouldn't be able to go back to sleep if
nope.
I didn't.
Nope. I hear weird noise in my house. I'm like, well, it must be one of my animals. Back
Oh,
to bed.
no.
I'm like, ignorance is bliss.
All right. Well, if this were ever a horror movie, you'd probably last longer than I do.
Maybe, I don't know. You be the one that found the guy in the back of your truck. I would just be gone and but I would have gone like I wouldn't have known any difference. I'm like, well,
Ignorance
guess
was
I'm
bliss.
yeah. I mean, I lived a good life. I feel satisfied with the legacy I've left and it was my time. I feel at peace with all of that.
Yeah.
Not that I want to go that way, but if it's my time, it's my time. So,
Yeah.
um, I want somebody to make a documentary about it, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
and we'll definitely
and
cover
I
it
would
on the
need
Dark Oak.
you, yeah, and I would need you to pick all the photos that I look really good
Oh, of
in. Don't let
course.
them pick a terrible photo.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know that one photo they show over and over and over?
yeah.
Don't let it be a bad one.
No, it'll
It's
be
got to be a
really
good one.
good, and then when they make, like, the Lifetime original movie about it, I will make sure that, like, there's a really cute actress who plays both you and your best friend.
Which is you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, self-serving, and also I approve. So, done and done.
Check. It's a plan. Well, that was a fun start to Oktoberfest. And in honor of Oktoberfest, I thought I would bring you something that is still very much true crime related. In fact, you cannot get more true crime than the stories I'm going to be sharing with you today. But there is that underlying theme that is very much on brand with all things spooky. And it's something I have always found very interesting, the idea of psychic detectives. So I've got a few cases.
Mm.
Yes, yes. So I've got a few cases I'm going to share with you today. But before I do want to give a couple of disclaimers. So, first of all, there are hundreds and thousands, maybe more cases where psychics were either consulted or volunteered information, and the information they provided was later determined to be completely incorrect. So, for example, I'm about to cover Chandra Levy's murder in an upcoming episode. And that's a case, I didn't know this, but that's a case where there were many psychics who came forward and said they had visions of what happened to her and where she could be found. And none of them were true. They were all completely false. But for me,
So, are you saying the ones that got it right, is it like the proverbial even a blind squirrel finds a nut? Is that where we are?
I don't think so. I think,
Okay, so you don't think it's by happenstance. You think some of these could be the real deal?
well, let me give you the details and you tell me if you think these could just
Okay.
be happenstance. But for me, it's the ones where they get it wrong. Like that's not interesting to me. I mean, anyone can give you information that turns out not to be true, right? But I do find very interesting the cases where a person knows something that doesn't make sense for them to know. And then they turn out to be correct. I mean, that actually could be something special, in my opinion. So, those are the cases I'm going to focus on today. But I just wanted to be upfront about how, for every case that a psychic was able to like know things they shouldn't have known, there's probably 100 cases where a psychic believed they knew something that turned out to be absolutely not true.
I, for one, appreciate your objectivity.
Yes. Now, the other disclaimer I want to give is that the help received on these cases from these psychics were just one piece of a much larger puzzle. So, in addition to the psychics, there were detectives and other law enforcement officers, officials, medical professionals, attorneys, the whole village of people who work together to try to get justice for these victims. And I mention this because I found it really interesting. One of the cases I'm sharing with you today, I read so many articles about this case, and it didn't mention that a psychic was brought in to consult in any of the articles. If I
Hmm.
hadn't known, if I hadn't been coming at it from the angle I was coming on, I wouldn't have even known a psychic was involved. So I'm not saying it's the psychic who broke the case. It was just one of the tools used to help find resolution in the case. And I find that, for every psychic that's able to give information, there's a lot of other people doing a lot of other work. So I just wanted to also preface it with that.
Sure, sure, that's fair. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, psychics aren't normally ones out like digging or
Right.
searching.
Right.
They provide the information, and then you got to have people to go execute it.
Right. I just I just thought that was so interesting that here I'm like reading all about this psychic on this case, and then I go to another source on the case, and it's like they don't even mention a psychic was involved. I just thought that was, wow, that's interesting.
Well, I think it would depend. Like, was literally the break in the case? Is that because of the psychic, like
Mm,
something the psychic provided? Or did they just help kind of corroborate what the police already knew? And if that's the case, I can see maybe a professional news article not wanting to include the psychic because that may be too woo woo or make them sound not professional.
sure,
Does that make sense?
I get it. But then a brain like me, I love the woo woo.
You're all about some woo woo in
That's
here.
right. Okay, so let's get into it. Our first case is the case of John DeMars. So on December 20th, 1974, at 4:45 p.m., 30-year-old John DeMars left his job at the Chemical Bank in Manhattan, where he'd worked as an assistant corporate loan officer for the last 5 years. He told his secretary that he was going home to play with his children, and he left the office. And his leaving for the day just happened to line up with a coworker leaving, so the two walked together toward the train station that would take John on the commute to his New Jersey home. Now, John was a very happily married man to his wife, Elaine. The couple had 2 young children. And John was a very considerate husband. He was the type who, if he saw that he was going to be getting home later than his wife had expected, he would always make sure to call Elaine to give her a heads up he would be a few minutes late. And that morning, John had called Elaine to let her know that he was having lunch with 2 friends, but then he would be leaving work early. He did go to lunch with those friends, and he mentioned to them that that night he had plans to go bowling. And just 15 minutes after leaving the bank for the day, John and his coworker parted ways, with John walking towards the Port Authority terminal at the World Trade Center. His normal route was to take a train to Hoboken, and from there he would take the 5:20 train to the Delawana station in Clifton, New Jersey, where he left his parked car. But on this day, when his train stopped in Clifton, John was not on board. And he didn't,
Huh.
right. And he didn't appear to have taken any other trains either, because hours went by and John never came home. Now, that evening, Elaine called the police and reported her husband missing. And detectives did all of the obvious things. They checked the local hospitals, they checked the morgues, they even checked arrest reports. There was no trace of John. Now, a few days after John seemingly vanished, a cab driver came forward claiming he had driven someone matching John's description to Newark International Airport on the very night John disappeared.
Uh-oh.
But when he was questioned further, the cab driver was unable to say for sure that it was John he had driven, mainly because that man's clothing didn't match what John was known to be wearing.
Okay.
Now, with no obvious signs of foul play and a witness saying they may have driven John to the airport, police began to suspect that John may have embezzled some money from his bank, or perhaps he had a lover who he'd ran away with. But those theories were discounted pretty quickly, as there was absolutely zero evidence to point to him having been involved in any illegal activity or having been unfaithful to his wife. So authorities were truly at a loss. It seemed like John had simply just walked off the face of the earth, which, as you and I have discussed, is like the scariest and most probably frustrating type of case, where it's just like,
Yep.
where did this whole human being go?
I think it's just something as our core, like as a human being, how valuable we are, our bodies, our souls, like us as a person, to realize a person can just not be there. Like to me, it's just hard for my brain to grasp that a person can just not be there.
Right.
Like you just don't know what happened to them. It's just it just boggles my mind.
Well, and the probably a different side, same coin. Not only like they're not there, but where are they? They could literally be anywhere. Anything could be happening to them. They could be
Mhm.
I to me it's like all the possibilities of what could have happened, where they could be, what they could be doing right now. It's too overwhelming. Like how could you
Yep.
possibly handle that?
Agreed.
So, after doing as much as he could with the investigation, a very frustrated detective named Sal Lubertazzi decided he had nothing to lose and he was going to implore the help of a psychic to see if that might possibly provide some answers.
A detective in New York named Sal, what's the last name?
Lubertazzi.
Bruitazzi.
Lubertazzi.
Yeah, I like
It's
it.
good,
I
right?
like it.
It's good.
I'm digging it.
Detective Lubertazzi contacted psychic Dorothy Allison from New Jersey to help him with this case. I'm going to stop right now and tell you Dorothy Allison is a pretty famous psychic who's worked on a lot of cases. So I did notice as I was doing research on these that some of the same names kept coming up as psychics
Does
having.
that mean does that mean they're the real psychics?
I'm going to let you decide. I'm going to let you decide.
How do you get to be celebrity psychic status?
I think you have to be right.
Oh, I mean, I would say on surface that seems simple, but also not simple.
Although I will tell you this, so something I learned in studying this. So Sylvia Brown, right? She was a very
Mhm.
famous psychic. None of this is in my script, so my numbers may be off, but they like tested her. So she had say out of 100. These aren't the exact numbers, but say out of 100 unsolved cases, she gave her opinion on what happened on all of them. They took the ones that were eventually resolved, right? So they actually learned what happened and they compared them to her, and she was never once right. Never once. And then, like, a decade went by, and even more of those same cases became resolved, and they compared her, and she wasn't even close. Again, none of them were completely accurate, and very few of them were even close. So,
Which is shocking because she was on Montel
oh,
Williams.
I know. I know. You think anything you see on Montel Williams is fact, right? Like you don't even have to fact check
Obviously.
it. That's
No.
truth. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Shocking to me, really.
So I take back my statement about in order to be a famous psychic you have to be correct. I don't think that's true. In fact, maybe you can get to be quite famous by just being wrong on everything.
But she said it with a lot of
Oh, she
confidence.
did. Have you seen the little videos of her pop up on your social media? Somehow I got into the
Oh, yeah.
algorithm of her being like, "Oh yes, you were accused of witchcraft during the Salem witch trials, which is why you now have social anxiety." Or you were this and you were that. And she like it's always something wild. It's never nobody ever led a boring life somehow. Nobody was ever just like a
Right.
42-year-old mom who just like, you know, did XYZ. It was always something grand. And I just I love it. I
I
love it.
like watching people's reactions during that because I've seen that one. I've seen the one that you're talking about. But I love how they're like, okay, yeah, that tracks. That totally
Makes
tracks. I'm
so
like,
much
what are you
sense.
talking about? What are you talking about? Makes so much sense now.
I don't know, Stephanie. If somebody told me that I was like, I don't know, Cleopatra in a previous life, you know what? I would be like, yeah, that explains a lot. It does.
Would you rather be Cleopatra or the Baroness?
Mm, that's tough. Probably Cleopatra because I think she's more famous, but
It's true. She lived a more luxurious life, I think.
that's right.
Not on an island, an uninhabited island of a desert, with servile gigolos.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, you got to go back and listen to the Galapagos Affair. The Galapagos Affair is
Yep.
what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah, fun.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about our psychic in this case, Dorothy Allison. Dorothy was a married woman with 4 children, and she first realized that she might have some psychic abilities when she was only 14 years old. And that was when Dorothy had a premonition that her father, who was perfectly healthy, was going to die from pneumonia. And tragically, out of the blue, Dorothy's father did contract pneumonia and die.
That's so horrible.
Horrible. I would be like, "Please
Like,
take this
that's
away
your
from me."
first vision? That's your first vision, is to see your dad die of, like, a horrible lung infection?
Awful.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Now, by the time Dorothy was contacted regarding John's case, she'd worked with the police on hundreds of other investigations, and she would be the first to admit that in some cases she was not able to provide any answers.
See? That makes me think that's more credible.
Oh, I agree.
Like, to just be like, "I don't know on this one, guys, sorry." It's just not like, that to me is like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I'd rather you say that than try to make something up."
Well, because no matter, like, I don't think there's very many detectives who are like 100 for 100. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
very few people have like a perfect track record, especially when it comes to like solving crimes. So I'm with you. I think the fact that she's like, sometimes I just don't know. I think that does it makes her more credible. But on
Yeah.
on that same, wavelength, there were many investigations where Dorothy was able to give quite a bit of insight and sometimes actually help solve the case. But what Dorothy had to say regarding John's disappearance was pretty outlandish. Dorothy told Detective Lubertazzi,
He was a witch. He was a witch in a previous life, and
no,
he reincarnated as a cat. Oh,
no,
no.
no,
Okay, no.
that's what
Okay, something
Sylvia
different?
Brown would have said. With conviction.
That's why he had anxiety.
That's right. Dorothy told Detective Lubertazzi that John had fallen off of the train and drowned. She went
Pulling out of a
on to
train?
say, fallen off the train. She went on to say she saw a stack of tires, a little park where children go down a hill on their sleds, the numbers 2, 2, and 2, and a bow and arrow. So, what are you going to do with that?
Very random. Yeah, very random details.
Right. Now, unfortunately, as you can imagine, even with these cryptic clues, authorities were unable to find John.
And I'm sorry, I'm having a trouble even picturing the train. Like, how would you fall off the train? Like, I guess you go between cars? I don't know. Like, they don't have open windows. Maybe I'm just
Mm.
not picturing the train correctly. But anyway, okay, tell me more.
Okay. 2 months after John went missing, on February 22nd, a man and his son were doing archery practice on the shore of the Passaic River. Passaic? Do you know how that's pronounced?
I don't.
Okay. Well, if you know, you'll let us know. I'm going to
One
go
of those.
I'm going to go with Passaic River, which ran along John's train route. Now, while practicing, one of the arrows missed the target completely and landed in some shallow water. And when the men went to collect it, they discovered, just a couple of feet from where the arrow had landed, John's decomposing body.
Oh no, John.
He was fully clothed, his watch was on his wrist, and his wallet and other personal items were in his pockets. He was identified through fingerprints. Next to the river was a park where tires had been piled up to make a sled run, and John's body
Mm.
had been found on February 22nd. 2, 2, 2.
Okay, well, that's compelling. I still don't really understand how he fell off the train, though. That doesn't make any sense. Did she push him? Did Dorothy push him? Is that how she knew?
I don't think so.
Okay.
After finding his body, police were able to piece together what happened to John on the night he disappeared. So,
Oh, okay. This is the part I want to know.
right. So John had fallen asleep on the train ride home. And then the conductor made an unscheduled stop while on the Passaic River Bridge and opened the train doors to let another passenger off of the back of the train. But this was the 70s. There were no lights on the bridge. And the space between the train and the edge of the bridge was very narrow. There was just a teeny tiny little walkway. There was no safety announcement made warning passengers that this was an unscheduled stop or that they were on a bridge. And John, half asleep, in a daze, assumed this was his stop, stepped off the train, fell off the bridge, and drowned.
This is horrific.
Horrific.
Also, Dorothy, girl, what's going on there?
Right?
What you got?
In May 1975, John's death was ruled an accidental drowning. Detective Lubertazzi said he felt chills go up and down his spine when he realized that everything Dorothy had said about the case had been true. He had previously been skeptical of her, but now he believes she's legitimate.
At least in this case, I think that's pretty compelling.
Pretty compelling, right? Okay, now I told you I'm cherry picking cases. Here's one. In an effort to remain fair, I'm going to tell you about another case that Dorothy worked on, but in this case, she was wrong. Maybe.
Okay.
Now, this is a case we're all familiar with. It's the case of John Benet Ramsey. And in case you haven't heard enough coverage on her case, listeners, or if you're just curious to know what Stephanie and I think about it, we did cover this case here at the Dark Oak over 2 episodes, episodes 76 and 77. So feel free to check that out if you're so inclined. But the super short version of the story is that a 6-year-old beauty queen was found murdered in the basement of her parents' home on Christmas morning. Nothing about the scene made sense. There was an extremely long ransom letter, which was very unusual, a suspicious 911 call. The family lawyered up immediately, and the public just didn't like the way they acted for a family who just lost their daughter. The family was never officially charged, but to this day, many, many, many people still believe the parents or their young son to be responsible for John Benet's death. Well, Dorothy said that she felt in her gut that John and Pat Ramsey were innocent, and she actually drew a sketch of the person that she saw, quote unquote, saw as the killer. And this sketch looked an awful lot like someone who would later confess to the murder. A school teacher named, everybody say it with me, John Mark Carr.
Yep.
Now, what I find really interesting is that Dorothy drew this sketch back in 1998. And at that time, John Mark Carr did not look like this drawing. So even if she knew him, he didn't look like this. At the time the sketch was drawn, John was younger. He had a full head of hair. But in 2006, when he confessed to the murder and was arrested, he had a receding hairline, and the similarities between the sketch and John Mark Carr are pretty uncanny. I looked up the sketch. They look an awful lot alike. Now, to be fair, Dorothy also reported seeing, again, seeing in quotes, because I don't know, for lack of a better word, what word to use, but she did see a lot of other bits of information that didn't, from what I know, line up with John Mark Carr or any other named suspect that I'm aware of. But the drawing she made does look exactly like the man who ended up confessing to the crime. And I think that's pretty compelling. Even if none of the other stuff does line up, I think the fact that this drawing looks like him is pretty wild. But as we are all probably aware, John Mark Carr's confession was proven to be false, and he has been eliminated as a suspect.
But he did confess to it, though.
Okay, so he did. So I guess the question is, what does this mean for Dorothy? Is this one of those situations where she was wrong? Or, not really knowing how these alleged abilities work, is it possible she was correct because she saw him confessing to the murder and he did? So she just misinterpreted it. He confessed to it. So is that what she saw? So was she right in that
Right.
regard?
Right.
Or is it possible that despite what the police have said, John Mark Carr did in fact kill John Bonet? And if you've listened to our coverage of her murder, you'll hear me say, it's my opinion, no one can be ruled out by the DNA in this case, which is how they've ruled everyone out, including John Mark Carr, because the DNA was contaminated. So I still think it's
Right.
possible that John Mark Carr did kill John Benet Ramsey. In fact, I think he's one of the few named suspects that actually could have done it. Like, if you were to give me all the named suspects, he's the one I think is most likely to have done it. So I don't know. Could he have actually done it? I don't know.
Only Dorothy knows.
Only Dorothy knows. So I thought that was
Wow.
an interesting
It
case.
is. That is really interesting. Huh.
Okay, so this next case is about the murder of Elizabeth Cornish. In the early morning hours of August 8th, 1987, Elizabeth Cornish, a 42-year-old nurse and mother of 5 from Belvedere, New Jersey, was awoken from her sleep, sexually assaulted, and then bludgeoned to death with a hammer in her own bed. And I'm sorry, I know that's awful. It was a brutal, brutal attack.
Yeah, I used to have a lot of fears about this when I was younger. I'm a Florida State University graduate, and notoriously Ted Bundy, went on a killing spree in one of the sorority houses on campus, and kind of the same thing. He just got in there and just assaulted and strangled and beat people with sticks, and it was awful. It was absolutely awful. I think that's got to be one of the worst nightmares. I mean, waking up and someone's on top of you.
Oh.
Awful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're so vulnerable, and then you're, like, you don't even know what's going on. Oh, yeah, no, nightmare. The thing of nightmares, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lieutenant Detective Dave Heater from the Warren County Prosecutor's Office said that there were a couple of potential suspects in Elizabeth's murder, and one of them was a man named John Reese. Now, John was a 31-year-old farmer who lived in the apartment right above Elizabeth. Police found him so suspicious that they asked him to take a polygraph test, and he complied, and he passed the test. He also had a solid alibi for the time of Elizabeth's death. But despite this, something still seemed really off about John, and detectives still felt in their guts that he could be their guy. But he wasn't the only one close to Elizabeth who they were looking into. Investigators were also very suspicious of Elizabeth's boyfriend. He was the person who'd actually found her body, which we know can automatically make a person seem suspicious. Couple that with the fact that he was her intimate partner, he was definitely worth examining. However, Elizabeth's family said there was no way that her boyfriend was capable of doing something like this, and he was eventually ruled out.
I'm having like Ellen Greenberg flashbacks.
Mm, mm.
Talking about a loved one finding, an
Yeah.
intimate partner finding the victim.
Well, and
I don't know.
I wouldn't have known that, like, coming across the body put attention on you, but since being interested in true crime, I've seen where so many people who are responsible for a person's murder, like, always, like, they get somebody to come with them to, like, discover the body. So, like, "Hey, Stephanie, come with me while I go here," and then, "Oh, we find the body together."
Oh, shocking. Yes,
Yeah, and
exactly.
I don't know what it is about having that other person there, but I guess there's just something about, I don't know. I don't know, but that's just something I've learned through the true crime material that I've consumed, that, like, people who are guilty often don't want to be the ones to find the body.
I mean, but if I was going to ask you, as like an accomplice in that way, I would just ask you to help me bury the body.
And I got you, girl.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to find anybody. I mean, like, something happened. It's real bad. And we got to work through some things.
That's right.
We're not finding anybody. We got to find a solution.
Hey,
That's
you
what we
know
got
what
to
I
find.
say? No one's finding anybody. Gosh, I hope nobody gets I hope nobody gets murdered around us, because here we are on video, like,
I
hatching
have
our
said several
plan.
times. I've said several times. I was like, Barton, if anything ever happens to me, delete my search history because, like, Lord knows. I mean, I got all kinds of weird searches up in here.
Yes.
So,
Yes. No, it's true. It's true. The life of a true crime podcast host, right?
yeah. Y'all don't want to know what I Google on a random night.
Well, since officials couldn't nail anyone down for Elizabeth's murder, detectives, along with her sister, Elizabeth's sister, decided that they had nothing to lose, and together they requested help from a psychic named Nancy Weber.
I would do the same thing. If I had a missing loved one or I had somebody in my family that was murdered and I didn't know why, I'm going to try it.
What
I'm going to try it. I mean,
what do you have to
I'm
lose?
trying all the things. I need people praying. I need a private investigator. I need a psychic. I need all the things. Like, I want
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to hurt, right? It's not going to hurt. And
No.
especially if you have somebody with like a track record like Dorothy, or in a minute you'll see Nancy. Yeah. Yeah, bring it. Bring it. Then
Also have to have apparently a very classic, amazing name in order to be a quality psychic. So Nancy, Dorothy, I don't know. I'm feeling like,
Sylvia.
well, we got to take Sylvia out, but she has a good psychic name. Maybe that's why she hit fame. I don't know.
It's a
I
good
don't feel
point
like
there.
Stephanie and Cynthia are good psychic names. We'd have
Yeah.
to change our names if we became psychic.
Oh, yeah. I see, like, Countess. Oh, Countess.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's coming from your previous life.
Yeah. Countess Cleopatra.
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
Well, apparently if you are psychic, at least in the case of Dorothy and Nancy, you learn pretty early on, because Nancy had known she was a psychic since her childhood. Get this. She was about 2.5 years old when her mother had a girlfriend over, and Nancy looked at this woman and again saw, in quotes, something in this woman's stomach, belly area. And she said she heard a voice tell her, "It's a baby." So Nancy, who again is a toddler, pointed to the woman and said, "Baby." Now, not only was the woman pregnant, but not visibly pregnant, because she was so newly pregnant, she had not even told her husband that they were expecting. So
Mm.
brand new pregnancy. Yet 2.5-year-old Nancy saw the baby. Nancy continued having premonitions and visions throughout her childhood, earning her the nickname Little Witch. She was said to know when a family member died at the very moment of their death.
Eesh. I mean, cool, but also eesh.
Little heavy, little heavy.
Heavy. Wow, that's your superpower?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
When Nan
But she was real fun at parties. Like,
no.
oh, wait,
Oh,
on, not to be crass, Auntie kick the bucket. Like, you know, all right, what are we having for dinner?
yeah, yeah.
Random.
I mean, it's kind of cool in theory, but in practice, it's kind of like, wow, that's a buzzkill.
Listen, anything that makes 12-year-old Stephanie telling creepy campfire stories to all my friends seem more normal. Like, I'm going to throw them right under the bus. I'll be like, wow, that weirdo girl. It's totally not as weird as Stephanie.
Not Stephanie, scarring us all for life. It would be so fun to like ask the girls who were there. Maybe we can go back and like send them messages on Facebook and be like, "Hey guys, do you remember Stephanie staying up all night telling us ghost stories?" Or maybe I'm just the only one.
I want to do it. You posted this really nice message on my birthday last week And we had quite a few of our old elementary school friends like comment about, us still being besties and, having fun. And maybe we should hit them up, ask
Yeah.
them.
My
Hey, like,
favorite my
remember,
favorite was, "That's a lifetime of love right there." I was
so
like,
sweet.
"Oh."
I
From
know.
another
I
girl
know
we
it.
went to elementary school with. I was like,
I
"Oh."
know. I know. It was really cute. I'm
Yeah.
like, does she know my creepy storytelling abilities? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure she was at C camp with us, so,
I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
You know who you are. I don't know if you listen to our podcast, but we're going to be messaging you.
Yeah.
So be prepared.
Well, when Nancy was 19, she became a nurse, and by the time she was 27, she was working in an experimental acute psychiatric unit in the Bronx. And she really enjoyed the work, and she was able to figure out the root cause of a person's psychosis just using her psychic abilities. She said she could take a catatonic person who'd been locked away for decades, and in 30 minutes, 35 minutes, she'd have them chatting with her.
Okay.
Eventually, Nancy decided to quit her job as a nurse and work as a psychic full time.
Okay.
And when Detective Heater found out that Nancy was going to be the psychic working on this case, he was really excited because he'd worked with her before. He was very open to working with psychic detectives because on a previous case that he'd worked on, a different psychic was able to pinpoint which barrel out of 150 barrels contained a body. So he was a believer, which
Wow.
that's
Okay.
pretty
That is
wild, right?
impressive.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nancy had not been told anything at all about any potential suspects, but she immediately said that Elizabeth's boyfriend was not the killer. Nancy was brought to Elizabeth's first floor apartment, and before she even entered the building, while she was just standing on the landing, she said, quote, "The murderer lives upstairs," end quote.
Eee. See, I just feel like that's just, when you just feel evil,
Mm-hmm.
like, I just feel like, something doesn't feel right in here. So
Well,
that's crazy.
well, and if you have these abilities, think of how
Yeah.
how much more heightened.
Yeah, just magnified.
Yeah. Now, police had made sure to bring Nancy over when Reese, the suspect who lived in that upstairs apartment, would not be home. They didn't want to do anything to skew her results. As Na-
Smart.
Mhm. As Nancy continued to walk through the crime scene, she kept saying that the evil was upstairs. Whatever happened came from upstairs. When she got to the bedroom, she described the rape and murder in detail. After the crime scene walkthrough, detectives and Nancy went back to the police station to discuss what Nancy believed happened. She continued to describe the crime and told the detectives that Elizabeth had been killed around 3 a.m. Now, at that moment, detectives knew Nancy was wrong. Elizabeth had been killed around 11 p.m. But despite their pushback, Nancy kept insisting Elizabeth died at 3 a.m. Nancy described the killer as a man with reddish brown hair who was about 5'10". He had a facial scar on his right cheek, and she said he also wore a large Western style belt buckle. Nancy drew a sketch of some woods and water and told investigators that this was the location where the murder weapon would be found. She continued to say that there was a man upstairs and eventually told detectives that his first name was John and that his last name began with the letter R and was a single syllable. Detective,
Wow.
I know, I know, I'm telling you. Detectives admitted that there had been a suspect by the name of John Reese, but he wasn't the guy. He had an airtight alibi. Plus, he'd already passed a polygraph. He did not have a facial scar, nor did he wear a large belt buckle. But Nancy's response,
Well, I was gonna ask. I want you to tell me what she said. Tell me what she said first, then I'll ask my question.
she told the detectives they were blind and to go talk to him again.
Wow. Okay. I wanted to know, how did they determine her time of death was 11?
Just based on like the medical examiner's report.
Okay, gotcha.
So after she said, "You're blind, go talk to him again," They did. They went and talked to him again. And this time, they noticed that John Reese did have a facial scar and was wearing a large Western style belt buckle.
Oh,
Okay,
snap.
Nancy,
Oh,
right?
snap.
Okay. However, those details being true didn't change the fact that John Reese had passed the polygraph, but more importantly, had a solid alibi for 11 p.m., the time the coroner said Elizabeth had died. The time the coroner said Elizabeth had died. But then, a few days later, the coroner re examined Elizabeth's body and changed the time of death to around 3 a.m.
Okay, first of all, wow. Second of all, what? Like, I mean, what would make you change that time? That's so random.
Right? Right? Now, after further questioning, John Reese's story started changing and it became obvious he was lying. And investigators determined he was originally able to pass the polygraph because they were asking all the wrong questions based on the incorrect time of death. So he wasn't lying. John Reese ended up confessing to murdering Elizabeth with a hammer and then said he threw
Ugh.
the hammer into some woods near the farm where he worked. And would you be surprised, Stephanie, if I told you that the location where he said he threw the hammer matched Nancy's diagram of where the murder weapon was
Yeah.
to be found? Police combed the area, and lo and behold, they found a hammer with human blood on it. Now, this is interesting. In full disclosure, there is some conflicting information regarding this hammer.
I'm sorry, guys. My lungs are just,
You're doing good.
we're trying.
You're
We're
doing good.
hanging in there.
You should have heard her a couple days ago. We actually had to cancel a recording session. She had no
Yeah.
voice.
I
Yeah.
I had no voice, and the only noise coming out of my face was coughing,
It was yeah.
hacking, couldn't coughing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I'm here. I'm here because I love what I do. Go ahead.
So in some reports you'll read that the hammer had been ruled out as the murder weapon because it did not match Elizabeth's wound patterns. But then there's other reports that state that the human blood on the hammer was not Elizabeth's. However, no further testing was done. So there's still a question as to whether or not this particular hammer was involved in Elizabeth's murder. But I do find it interesting that the man convicted of killing her said, "Here's where I put the murder weapon," which also matched the diagram. There was a hammer with human blood on it found where he said one would be. So interesting.
I don't really know why you're confused, Cynthia, because I mean, I find bloody hammers all over the place generally. Um, dime a dozen. So, a bloody hammer in a field, who doesn't find those? So, I don't really know that that's very compelling,
Well,
honestly.
you jest. But if I use a hammer and I'm trying to like nail something, it wouldn't be unheard of. In fact, there could potentially be a bloody hammer in my house as we speak.
Oh man. But no, I'm joking because I agree with you. What are the odds of finding like a bloody hammer in this location? I mean, it would seem, knowing what we know, that this hammer was related to Elizabeth's death.
Right. Now, I could argue that okay, even if this isn't what he used to kill Elizabeth, if you're going to commit a crime that brutal, you're probably committing other crimes. So, maybe he just got confused as to which hammer he used to hurt which person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Um
Yeah.
I highly doubt that was a one and done type crime.
Ugh.
But there is some question as to whether or not that was the hammer used.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nevertheless, John Reese was sentenced to life in prison for Elizabeth Cornish's murder.
Good.
Mm-hmm. I have one more for you. This last case I'm going to share with you is the murder of Penny Sarah of New Haven, Connecticut. On July 16th, 1973, 21-year-old Penny Sarah was driving her father's car, a blue 1971 Buick Electra. She parked it on the 9th level of the Temple Street parking garage in downtown New Haven just after 12:42 p.m. Now, it wasn't unusual for Penny to borrow her dad's car. In fact, she just used it to drive to Florida 2 weeks prior. But on this particular day, authorities believe that someone saw her in the garage and decided to steal the car. But Penny put up a fight. She had a knife with her, a knife that she'd used to cut up cheese and bread. And given the amount of blood at the scene, it was obvious to detectives that Penny had stabbed the perpetrator in an effort to scare him off. Good for you,
Wow.
Penny.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
don't go quietly. Detective Clark, who worked the case, said, quote, "My guess is that he lost his temper because she stabbed him once. We know that he chased her because 2 teenagers saw the chase. They thought she escaped. What he should have done was just taken her car and let her run away. She went up a stairway that went nowhere and was stabbed on the 4th or 5th step.
Oh, no.
She was
Oh, no.
She was stabbed just once in her heart." End quote.
Oh, no.
Her
That's
body,
awful.
yeah, yeah. Her body was found crumpled in the fetal position in the stairwell. Now, I did see other reports saying that Penny was stabbed more than 20 times. This detective in this quote says she was just stabbed once. I'm not sure which is true, but that was a quote. So, either way, the man killed her. 21 years old.
No, what a tragedy. What an absolute tragedy over a stupid car.
Stupid car. Authorities believe that after stabbing Penny, the perpetrator got into her car and drove around the garage, but got confused about how to get out or how to get to the garage exit, which apparently was quite common for this particular garage. I guess it was a little convoluted. So the killer abandoned Penny's car, the one he killed her for, on the 7th floor, got into his own vehicle, drove to the garage exit, and handed a bloody ticket to the man at the gate.
Oh my gosh.
Now, Stephanie, get ready to get even more annoyed. Apparently, not everyone is as obsessed with true crime as you and I are, because this parking attendant took this bloody ticket, wiped the blood off to see how much to charge the
What?
driver, didn't even bother getting a license plate number. And spoiler alert, the killer got away with this crime for a very long time, when could have potentially been stopped right there just if this guy had thought ahead enough to like get a driver's license number for this guy covered in blood.
So they're both nitwits. The killer is, as a savage nitwit. And then this ticket taker, what did he think the substance was? Also, gross.
I
Don't hand me a fluid saturated ticket. That is gross. That is I would have been
know.
like, I'm sorry. You wipe that off and give it back to me. Because again, I'm sure he's not thinking it's blood.
I don't know
Like that would not be your.
what else can
That's not
blood
going to be
be
your first
confused
guess.
for? What else looks like blood? Nothing else looks like blood. Fresh blood? This is fresh blood. The guy was stabbed. What else looks like that? It wasn't ketchup. It wasn't paint.
I don't know.
And
I don't
I'm sure the
know.
perpetrator was like actively bleeding too. If it's all enough, not only is he bleeding, but she's obviously bleeding, and that blood could be on
yeah.
him. It's on his hands or something
Well,
enough to get to the
and even
ticket.
I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe the ticket taker was like afraid for his life or something. But then you would get the license plate, like let him go, but then report him. So
I guess potentially, again, we've said it a million times. I'm not great in like high stress situations. So I guess it's possible that he was like totally freaked out and just like in that moment didn't know what to do. I guess. Um
this wasn't a bear trying to get your picnic basket, Cynthia. Like you would have noticed and got the license plate. I know you would have.
I like to think I would have gotten the license plate from this
You would
blood
have.
covered guy, but I don't really know.
But, potato, potato.
Anyway, we got nothing on this guy. He gets away. And he may have gotten away with it forever if he hadn't left a blood trail through several levels of the garage. In addition to leaving his blood on a handkerchief found outside of Penny's car and a bloody fingerprint on a tissue box found inside of her vehicle.
I mean, this bad guy is not even a good bad guy.
Oh, he's horrible. No, he's
like,
terrible.
he's not even good at being bad.
No. And he leaves the car he killed her over, which just makes it even worse. Like he killed her to try to get this car. Not that it would have been better if he'd taken the car, but you know what I mean? It was like for nothing. Like she literally died for nothing.
I agree with what the detective said. I think he killed her because she made him mad.
Yeah.
Like, I think like a vengeance thing, which is, I mean, doesn't make it any better. It's awful.
No,
it's so terrible.
It's awful. Now, despite this mountain of evidence, as we know, crimes of this nature were a lot harder to solve back in the 70s before they had all the forensic advancements we have today. So, as I have already alluded, authorities were unable to find the monster responsible for Penny's murder. But a psychic named Mary Pasquarella Downey took a look at Penny's case. Mary told authorities that the killer was a mechanic, but he would not be caught for almost 30 years. She saw blue coveralls, grease-stained hands, and she smelled gasoline. On the coveralls, she saw an embroidered name tag, and the name started with the letter E. She also eerily told police, quote, "Only blood can tell," end quote.
Hopefully it wasn't the blood on the ticket, because that's not telling you anything.
Mm-mm. Decades went by. John Sarah, Penny's grieving father, made sure that the New Haven Police Department and the public did not stop thinking about the case. Every year on the anniversary of the slaying, he bought an ad in the New Haven Register showing a photo of his smiling 21-year-old daughter. He also personally reached out to my man crush. Who, Stephanie? Who?
Your man crush?
My man
not
crush.
The same as
oh,
mine.
You're going to kick yourself as soon as I tell you. You're going to kick yourself.
Who is this?
Dr. Henry Lee.
Oh, well, yes. Sorry, Dr. Lee.
Who else? Dr. Henry Lee, the nationally known forensic science investigator and my man crush. And he said, he reached out to Dr. Henry Lee saying, "Dr. Lee, you are our last hope." Now, Dr. Lee remembers his final conversation with John Sarah, who at the time was dying from a terminal illness. And Dr. Lee said, quote, "He called me from the hospital and said, 'Please don't forget my daughter.' I told him we're working very hard on the case. Nobody will forget Penny."
And I believe that.
Mm-hmm. John Sarah died 7 months before a mechanic named Edward Grant was arrested and charged with his daughter's murder 24 years after the crime.
Wow. How did they catch him?
Well, how did they catch him? How did our psychic Mary Downey say this guy was gonna get caught? Let's start with was she correct in her analysis of Penny's murder? So besides Edward Grant being a mechanic and his first name starting with the letter E, the evidence that got him arrested was the bloody fingerprint on the tissue box found in Penny's car. Now get this, because this is crazy. Grant's fingerprints did not enter the system until the summer of 1994, just 1 year before his arrest for Penny's murder and 23 years after she was killed. His fingerprints were only entered when he was arrested on a charge of beating his then fiancée. So if you think about it, if his fingerprint had not made it into the system just a year before, we still wouldn't know who killed Penny.
Right.
In 2002, Edward Grant was convicted of the murder of Penny Sarah. Stephanie, do you want to know what piece of evidence sealed his conviction?
I don't know. I mean, he left so much weird evidence. I don't know. What's the thing? What was the
Okay.
smoking gun?
You remember that
Well, I mean,
bloody
it wasn't a gun because it was a knife, but you know.
you remember the bloody handkerchief that had been found on the ground
Yeah.
near Penny's car? That was
Yeah.
Edward Grant's blood on that handkerchief because
Yeah.
only blood can tell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, also he's a dingbat and a nitwit, and I hate that it took 24 to 30 years for him to finally be convicted. That's terrible. But I'm glad he is.
Mhm.
I'm glad he's known for what he is, which is a murderer
Yeah.
and a not very good bad guy.
Horrible. Horrible bad guy. Stick to
A
mechanics.
horrible bad guy.
He was probably a great mechanic.
Maybe. Could have been. I don't know. I don't really don't like it. But yeah, don't be killing people over stupid stuff.
So what do you think? What do you think of these detective or yeah, these psychic detectives? Do you think there's any truth to it? Do you think they just got lucky? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to look at kind of the mountain of evidence. And it's like if you have for every 20 psychics that get it wrong, you've got one that gets it right. Can you really say it's proven to be effective? Probably no. I mean, if you're going to look at it scientifically, but the fact that there are certain, I think the case that Dorothy helped solve, the first one that we talked about, um, I think those have very compelling details. The February 22nd and the arrow. I mean, I think that's, and it's a scenario that wouldn't be expected,
Oh, right, yeah. He just fell off
you
he
know,
fell out of the train into the water
which
and
literally
drowned.
I thought was impossible.
Mhm.
So I do find that compelling. Um, and I mean, it's not the first time. I mean, I know, we covered the reincarnation of Shanti Devi, and it's similar. There are just things that she was saying that she shouldn't have known. Um, and so I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't necessarily know if I believe in psychics. Just me personally, I don't know. But also, I can't explain how they know some of these things.
Right,
So I think for me, it's just a perpetual mystery. I I don't necessarily believe in reincarnation, but I can't explain how she knew these things that she knew. So
right,
something is at work. Something's happening. I just don't I don't proclaim to know what it is.
right. For me, I think it's possible that some people have gifts. Like, some people have the gift of being great artists. Some people have the gift of being, like, uh, super smart at math. Like, I think we all have gifts, right? And so I think some people could just, be gifted in the way of, you know, sensitive to things that are happening around them in the spirit world. Like, I don't think that's out of the question. And I think there is a lot going on around us in the spirit world, and most of us are probably pretty oblivious to it. So yeah, I think it's possible. Now, what is it? That I don't know. Some people would say it's ghosts of people. Um, I might say it's, like God, might be my what I'm thinking. Like, God is like giving people information to help them on this path. Different people may believe it comes from different places, but I think it's possible. And these stories are pretty compelling. I obviously think that it's probably a pretty rare gift because we're not all walking around seeing and knowing all these things. But I find it very interesting.
I mean, and thank goodness when you said most of us are oblivious to, the spirit world around us. In many ways, I'm like, well, good, because I'm doing good to deal with like the physical one right in front of me. So I can't add another layer. I don't want to know what's in the matrix. Like I
There he is. For all you
hi.
audio listeners, the cat, the cat in question, the cat in question just made an appearance.
No, this is actually a different kitty than I don't know if you guys can see her.
Oh, I'm sorry. It looked orange. She looked
Yeah,
orange.
yeah. This
Different
is
kitty.
Della. This is one of my old girls. She's 9. And she has her old lady claw stuck on my chair.
Cute.
Anyway, this is the one who doesn't like the kitten. And so she hides in my closet and comes out occasionally. But now what's happening is our kitten is somehow very scared by the new baby friends we have staying at my house.
I was gonna
So
say there's a lot
yeah,
more
now he's
new
hiding.
noise. There's a lot new noise
Oh,
and
yeah.
stimulation and probably tail grabbing and all kinds of stuff.
I- For him, he's just freaked out about I think it's just the
Yeah.
noise in general. Um, and so it's nice because our old lady veteran cats are like, oh, this is this is old hat to us. Like
Right.
we dealt with these crazy people's kids for a long time.
Right.
Like they're they're good people. They're good people, huh?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's nice to see my old ladies out a little bit more now that the kitten's not bothering them.
Yes. Eh.
And luckily, the new kids are very sweet to the animals.
Yeah.
They're still learning gentle hands and things like that, but they're really, really sweet. So I actually find the animals are like a nice distraction for them from a lot
Oh,
of other stuff
sure.
that's going on in their life. They can talk to the animals and snuggle with the animals. And um, one of our girls, she's sometimes, if she's feeling a certain way, she'll say one of the cats is feeling that way.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a nice little outlet. So
Yeah.
it's good things. Well, is it Branch of Hope time?
It is. It's Branch of Hope time.
Okay,
On
let's do
that
it before
note,
this cat steps on the keyboard. That's what she's trying to do. So, guys, we have a short and sweet one for this month. So we're putting together October is kind of a collection of all kinds of different cases. And so we wanted one that kind of fit more with where we are in our life and where we are with the podcast. And based on, this new chapter in my foster journey and the giveaway that we have for this month, we have decided to sponsor an organization called A Blanket of My Very Own. And they are an organization of sweet people, quilters who get together and make blankets for all the kids in foster care. Because so many times kids going into the system have literally nothing. They have literally nothing. And what's even more incredible is today we met the guardian at Lightem for our new friends that we have staying with us, and they got their quilts. They got their little
oh,
quilts today,
oh,
literally
from
today. Literally today. The little baby got it just has purple flowers on it.
cute.
And the older one got one. It's light blue with little sheep all over
Oh,
it. And the older of the girls, she literally held it and hugged it. And she said, a blanket of my own.
oh,
And Della. And anyway, she spread it out on the floor,
Mhm.
literally right there, and just laid on it. And I mean, right there, like literally right there, like in the hallway.
Right.
And it meant so much to her.
Yeah.
Um, and then me a foster mother and as a quilter, I thought, these loving hands have made that quilt. Now the ones that came from my kids are a different organization, but it's they all mean the same.
Mhm.
You know, they all mean the same. And how special that is, that not only is it something tangible that's theirs, but someone made that for them.
It's
So,
so special. My own son has a quilt that he's had somebody made it for him, you know, when I was pregnant with him, and he, at 6 years old, does not go one night without blanket. You know, and, it's such a source of comfort. You know, for a lot of children have these little blankies and blankets that are so, you know, it's their comfort. So especially a child in foster care who, you know, uh, some of these children have just been through it, to have just that piece of comfort for them, so
yeah,
special.
and that can go with them wherever
Mm,
that may be. If
right.
that's another home, if that's reunified with their parents, if that's to a permanent adoption, whatever that is, it's something that's theirs.
Mm.
That's theirs. And that's unique. You know,
Yeah.
that's a unique gift that's special for them.
Yeah.
So, a blanket of my own
Love
is who we're
it.
going to be sponsoring this month. And it's kind of, it's a definite personal organization for me, but I'm so grateful that you've hung with us through this journey, and I really hope that you're excited about supporting this organization as well.
I know I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yay, more Oktoberfest fun coming your way. We're going to have more fun campfire stories, scary stories to tell after dark. Fun. And yeah, I think that's it. Do we have any more announcements or anything, Cynthia?
I don't think so. Join our Patreon. Hey, if you haven't
Yeah.
give us a review, we'd love a nice review. Tell your friends about us. You know, our first 2 years, we were really focusing on just like establishing our library, and now we just hit our 2 year anniversary. And I think the main focus is okay. Now we want to grow. We want to grow.
Yeah.
So tell your
Yeah.
friends. Share us when you see those people asking for podcast recommendations on Facebook or social media. Drop our name. Yeah, um, it would mean the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more people we have supporting us, the more we can give back and give forward to these other organizations. Anybody who's been hanging with us for a while knows that's really important to us. And we again love that you're on this journey with us.
That's right. All right, we'll see you next week for another fun Oaktoberfest episode.
With less coughing. Fingers crossed. Oh my gosh, if I don't stop this coughing in the next few days, I don't know that I can go on. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off where I have another coughing fit. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.